Imagine being stuck in a room with somebody that just did a 17-year bid for unaliving someone, and instead of being released to the streets, they was released to the psych ward you work at because they were still deemed a danger to society. You already know where this going, because you know I was the one stuck with him. By the time I left that room, I knew new card games, new slang, and I had a whole rap song of him recorded on my phone. And trust me, this all makes sense. Just listen. So we get this new patient. He comes in looking like Debo. He about 6'3", 6'4", gotta be about 270, and he got a belly, but this dude is jacked up, muscled up. You know he can still do them pull-ups and push-ups with the best of them. And his hands, man, it looked like he been catching bricks all his life because they look like baseball mitts, strong, beefy hands. He came in mad, sedated, and agreeable. Whatever meds that he was under, he was still coming up off of those. So he was signing his papers. It was nighttime when he came in, and he wanted to go straight to his room. In the intake assessment, it did say, hey, boundaries with this patient is very big because coming from prison, you're not allowed to go in people's rooms and touch people's stuff. And like, he was real big, apparently, on his stuff not being touched, his room not being gone in, stuff like that. But like I said, he came in late, he went straight to bed, he slept for a while, nobody was worried about him, but we was hip to what his chart said. Then one morning shift while I'm doing rounds on the other side of the unit, I hear a smack heard round the world. This dude brings his beefy baseball mitt hands up to the nurse's station and slams down on that desk to get everyone's attention with the heaviness of God stumping. He smacks the desk, boom! Y'all better let me about this mug right now. Immediately, my mind is going through the Rolodex of what patient this could be, what person is on this unit, and I peep my head around the corner, and I see Debo, we gonna call him Debo, I see Debo flexed up, mad, eyebrows furrowed all the way down, and he is like looking around to see how he can get out this unit. I'm gonna have to do multiple stories on him, but I promise you I'll fully get through this one. So immediately staff is concerned, nurses are coming out, hey, what's going on? He like, ain't know what's going on. I need to get up out of here. I shouldn't even be in here. I just got out, y'all got me in another prison. And somebody keep opening my door. The nurses are like, hey, this is temporary. We have to find placement for you so we can work with you, talk to the social worker today. How does that sound? And whoever's opening your door, that's just staff. We have to do rounds and check on everybody. That's just how we have to do things here. He goes, all right, in a calm demeanor and just pimps off to his room and zoom, closes that door with force that I'm sure if you stood on the other side of it, you'd feel the wind. Staff looking at each other, they know it's gonna be a problem. They're trying to be proactive. This is usually the time, controversial time, but whatever, where they call the doctor, they like, yo, you need to drop the meds. You need to give us a certification to be able to give this dude a B52 or some good Haldol, Prolixin, Ativan, whatever, to calm this dude down, make him go to sleep because our safety is in jeopardy. So I go down to the room, his room, with the nurse for her safety. She knocks on the door, the baby is tick, tick, tick. And then he opens the door looking all like, what's up? His room all organized. He got books stacked up, sheets folded. I'm like, yo, this dude is really institutionalized for show. Ain't nothing wrong with no neatness. I mean, that's good. But you could tell he was very particular about how things were set up. Nurse goes, hey, the doctor has some medicine for you. What is it? She tells him what it is and says he can have it in pill form or shot form. He says, is this gonna help me get up out of here? And she goes, well, it will show the doctor you're willing to cooperate and that looks good. See, now that's a term that you can use for your safety, but sometimes, you know, workers be abusing that just so that they can feel more calm in the presence of a patient that they feel intimidated by. But this guy's a whole nother story because we know why he got out of prison and we knew how he was posturing and presenting when he came up to that desk. And other patients were terrified and they deserve to have their rights and safety kept in mind as well. A very fine line to toe, but nonetheless, it's told all the time. He took the medication in injection form. So everybody's kind of, you know, watching their watches and seeing how long it's gonna take for bro to go down. Well, he doesn't. He's pacing and parading the unit. Every time he looks at a staff, he's frowning at him, looking at him like this. He's reading all types of stuff that's on the wall. He's definitely fixated and just posturing. Y'all don't got no music around here? How come I can't listen to no music? That's when one of my coworkers threw me like a bowling ball under the bus. Now, I don't even really tell people that I did music and do music at my job because I'm like, let's keep those worlds separate. I was still building up my music at the time. And one of my coworkers says to him, you know, Jay, he has a lot of music on his phone and he even does music outside of here. I just felt like that one SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob was running from Sandy during her hibernation and they did me like this.
Hey, wait, you don't don't understand.
Oh, look, it is I, SpongeBob, out here in the open.
SpongeBob?
Then he gets his grin on his face like, first time he grinned all day though, and they're just like, just go sit with him for a while, Jay. We'll give you relief. Relief never came. I was sitting in the room with this man, playing Jay-Z's greatest hits. And not gonna lie, it was a vibe. He was doing his thing, rapping, and it really did help him to calm down. He did need some music. So I was cool with being able to be there for him. Ended up playing some cards. He ended up telling me about, how he ended up being locked up. But every time he said something funny, he gave me the most bear claw slap in the back of my back, bro. Like in the same spot too. He'll be like, like I'm like, yo, bro, yo. I'm like, really, really taking one for the team. So then he's like, what's this I hear about you doing music, man? You doing music? I'm like, yo, man, I really don't want to get into this. I'm thinking in my head. He's like, show me something. So I showed him some stuff I was working on at the time. Like, what could the harm be? But then he's just like, I'm a rapper too. You think you can record me? Because that's the least thing they can do if they gonna keep me locked up in this. Yeah. I got this. I can record you. I had this app on my phone called IMT Pain. This came out like when the iPod Touch first came out, pretty much, where you could record yourself in auto-tune. It was like pre-made beats on there. If you know, you know. I used to make some bangers on that mug. And like I said, I didn't have no relief from my staff members. They wasn't answering text messages. I can't even peep my head out the door, because the way you're never supposed to sit where where the patient is closer to the door than you are. But this was just so haphazardly set up and just not good that they left me out there pretty much. Bro could have broke my bones and used it to make some bread, and they would have come down and seen me as a finished product. But I was surfing the waves, y'all. I was surfing the waves. I'm like, okay, you throwing these at me? Okay, let's get it. So I pull out the T-Pain app. I'm like, you want a beat? How you want to do it? He was like, well, I need something to go to this song that I wrote, so I might just need to do an acapella. I'm thinking, this man came prepared. For myself, I wish I still had the recording, but the app is outdated. And when I transferred phones, this was years ago, y'all. And when I transferred phones, the app didn't transfer over. And I don't know what happened. I couldn't get access to anything anymore. Even when I went to my old phone to try to get it, it wouldn't open up any of the files. But I remember this song to this day because he told me what it was about and he sang his little hood heart out. And this is how I went. Also, imagine, I gotta be sitting here serious recording this man while, okay, this is how the song went. Mobbing through my hood, and ain't much change. Hoes be selling tail, thugs still trying to sell. I'm like, yo, this man singing his hood heart out. I'm telling you, man. Y'all, and this man's telling me this is what his reaction was to, I guess when he left the prison to come to the ward, he, I don't know, either stopped home and grabbed stuff or went through his neighborhood, but he said he saw everything was the same from before when he got locked up to when he saw things when he was released. Mobbing through my hood, ain't much change. So after we did literally 30 plus takes of him trying to do that song and he finally did it, he just wants to listen back to it over and over again. And it got the T-Pain auto-tune on it. And he over here listening back like he loving it. Dude is in heaven right now. And so are my coworkers. Because they don't got to deal with any of the stuff that they was dealing with earlier, being threatened because Jay got it. I told y'all my nickname was the patient whisperer in that mug. So it was finally time for my shift to be over, and the next technician comes to the door, creaks it open, knocks first. And I said, oh, I'm letting him know. Oh, that's probably the other technician. He said, what, you about to leave? I was like, yeah, dog, but I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back tomorrow. He was like, shit, I'm going to sleep then. I'm like, going to sleep with a man with the... But you know what? I'm glad I was able to help him. Because when I did come back to the unit, it was a whole new disaster. He broke out of the unit during midnight shift and somehow was able to find papers with staff's names on it and other private information and had it in his room. Yeah, they ended up bringing him back. They had to call the police, but it started a whole new piece of drama because he's walking around telling people what their first and last name is based on employee documents that he was able to have access to because he snatched it from outside of one of the HR people's offices. If y'all want to hear that story, for part 2 because it gets up. I'll tell y'all how he broke out in the first place and whew, Yeah, life for part two.